How can a sign vehicle help creatives to use Peirce's 10 semiotic sign classifications? Okay, what are you now on about? A sign that is a vehicle? Not quite. I'm discussing how semiotic meaning bearing is delivered. Within Peirce's 10 semiotic sign classifications, he describes 3 levels of semiotic delivery of the encoded meaning. To grasp his 10 classifications, you need to understand the delivery methods. Let us discuss. Welcome to episode 16, season 3 of Semiosis 101, where we explain Charles Sanders Peirce's semiotic theory of semiosis, sign action, in design-centric terms. If you've watched Semiosis 101 episodes before, then you already know I am Dave Wood. I use Semiosis 101 on YouTube, Patreon and Substack to provide a design-centric translation of Charles Sanders Peirce's semiotic theory of semiosis, sign action. Why do you need Semiosis 101? Peirce's writing and terminology is very obtuse. On Semiosis 101, I translate Peirce's brilliant theory into language creators will understand and can follow. After all, we study design and illustration and not philosophy, so we need theory centered to creators' needs. Yes? That is why you need Semiosis 101. Season 3's semiotic theme is semiotic encoding, with a focus on how audiences make interpretations. What this season's theme means to you as visual communicators is that at long last you will see what semiotic signs can be or will be. We will build your confidence to encode semiotic sign action into your own designs or illustrations during your own ideation phase to enhance visual communication. I ended the last episode on a designer-centric summary of the semiotic power combinations of Peirce's 10 sign classifications. I also answered the so what question with an answer longer than a glib, because in this episode I will expand what the 10 sign classes can mean within contemporary design or illustration practice. I will deliver this through 3 sign vehicles. Brum brum. Rev up, hit subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I will explain. In episode 3.5, I concluded with a designer-centric summary of each of Peirce's 10 semiotic sign classifications power levels. These 10 power summaries were: sign 1, possible, familiar, instant; sign 2, possible, familiar, mediated; sign 3, possible, existent, mediated; sign 4, suggested, existent, mediated; sign 5, possible, familiar, agreed; sign 6, possible, existent, agreed; sign 7, suggested, existent, agreed; sign 8, possible, proxy, agreed; sign 9, suggested, proxy, agreed; and sign 10, resolved, proxy, agreed. Great, job's a good one. That is surely that then. No, this is just my current attempt at putting Peirce's obtuse terminology into language useful to creatives. This is not my first attempt or the only attempt out there to explain Peirce's 10 signs. In his 2017 book FireSigns, A Semiotic Theory for Graphic Design, Stephen Skaggs has also made inroads, and in my 2016 PhD appendix, so did I. Back in 2014 to 2016, I found that I could not sidestep these 10 semiotic sign classes and pretend they had no impact beyond an interesting philosophical thought exercise. My whole PhD practical component was constructed around sign 4, which in turn nested signs 2 and 3. Peirce referred to sign 4 as any concept object of direct experience insofar as it is a sign, and as such affords information concerning its concept object. In Peirce's precise terminology, sign 4 is a dissent indexical synth sign, suggested, existent, mediated. Can you see why I have attempted to reframe these terms into actionable analogues? If you focus on the final word in the set of 3, we see the delivery method, the sign vehicle. That is what we will focus on this episode when delving into the 10 sign classes. Back in 2014, 3 years before FireSigns was published, I was a fairly lone voice in seeking a more designer-centric explanation of Peirce's 10 classifications. The closest explanation of the classifications using visual examples was an academic paper from 2009 by 2 Taiwanese information scientists, Andrea Huan and Ting-Rui Chang, called Social Tagging, Online Communication and Peircean Semiotics, a Conceptual Framework. So in this episode, I will synthesize 10 designer-centric explanations for each sign class's delivery from synthesized examples from my PhD and Skaggs' FireSigns book. In doing so, I will also focus on how each sign vehicle semiotically gets meaning into the world. Peirce's names for the delivery are qualisign, synsign and legisign, but on Semiosis 101 I have translated these into designer-centric terms as instant, mediated and agreed. Back in episode 3.6 I introduced sign 1. Peirce calls this a romantic iconic qualisign, but I have defined it in a top trumps way as having the semiotic power of possible, familiar, instant. Sign 1 is an ephemeral sign class of a quality on the edge of perception, which has possibility for a visual but weak, meaning-bearing, instantaneous connection with the target audience. It is fleeting and it triggers familiarity, which aids semiotically grabbing attention without any determining representation. Skaggs gives an example of graphic elements that are composed to form larger, complex displays. The delivery of any meaning the quality may suggest is an instant perceptual hit or not. As the only ephemeral sign vehicle in the 10 classes, a qualisign can only be instantly perceived as meaning bearing before the next sign class takes over. The next 3 sign classes have mediated delivery of meaning. Peirce calls this a synsign. Peirce's sign 2 utilizes sign 1s to mediate its visual meaning bearing existence. I agree with Skaggs, who discusses this class in the context of image and refers to all instances of depiction. Perceived as an instance of meaning bearing, its delivery is through visual mediation that is a one-off presentation depicting possible familiar qualities, sign 1s, of the concept in a deliberately crafted representative form, sign 2. Sign 3 can only exist as a possibility of being interpreted as the concept through a mediated existent likeness to it. The audience's attention to the interpretation is facilitated by nesting sign 2s within sign 3. Once the sign 2 has grabbed the attention, sign 3's possible relations to the concept can be perceived and interpreted. The last of the mediated delivery sign classes is sign 4. Peirce's famous example for this sign class is a weathercock representing the concept wind. Wind is mediated through interpreting the existence suggested direction the weathercock turns and points. It is a sign class of direct experience and nests the 2 previous classes. Nested sign 2s mediate the delivery of the familiar qualities of the concept, while the nested sign 3 provide possible existent things to frame the experience. Sign 4 then builds on this mediation to visually suggest the experience. Skaggs gives an example of a franked postage stamp as evidence of the act of postage. The stamp design asserts nothing, but the franking of the stamp asserts the experience. The next 6 sign classes all fall within an agreed sign vehicle class, which Peirce calls a legisign. In the next episode, we will go into more depth with these 6 sign classes, but as this episode concerns itself with a sign vehicle delivery, we will just focus on that in more depth. Now, Peirce names the delivery of these 6 sign classes as legisigns. Legi, as in a law. It is easier to think of this delivery method as agreed. 3 classes that have this agreed delivery have perception semiotic power levels of possible, 2 have suggested levels, and sign 10's perception power is at a resolved level. Moving to the semiotic representation power level, sign 5's level is familiar, while sign 6 and 7 have existent representation levels. Sign classes 8 to 10 can be described as having proxy representation levels. Okay, this is sounding like a game of top trumps now. What on earth does any of that have to do with illustrators or designers? Think about your audience. They are not blanks. They have experiences that they bring to anything visual, which will frame their ability to interpret. At the highest semiotic sign classes, sign 10 can be described as resolved, proxy, agreed. Peirce obtusely calls this sign an argument symbolic legisign. So let me unpack this sign class to contextualize it to contemporary visual communicators. At this level of semiotic sign, its representation needs to be general enough, proxy, to ensure as many audience members will understand it. The concept it is indicating must generally be known and understood by as many as possible. 2. Resolved. To ensure the audience reaches and accepts the intended meaning, the delivery of it leads them to an interpretation that is generally agreeable. Within visual communication design, sign tends form signage, branding, etc. Anything that needs its visual language to communicate on a general level to many audience members. Sign 10 is a bit of a visual communication holy grail, as there can be many sociocultural and linguistic incompatibilities which may become semiotic noise interfering with its success. But there are successful visual examples. Republic of Ireland based graphic designer Juan Solis has researched the humble signage of gendered toilet facilities around the world. This piece of ubiquitous signage utilises an agreed method by using proxy representations for male and female bodies to resolve how to indicate in a non-verbal ways which toilet to use. But Skaggs and FireSigns reminds creators that no graphic display has the power on its own terms to be conclusive, but we can use semiosis to improve our chances. The focus on agreement in the case of sign classes 5 to 10 as a semiotic delivery method makes you creators consider what the audience already know and how you can encode for that to improve the opportunities to visually connect with as many people as possible. In sign classes 2 to 4, the delivery method acknowledges that the level below agreement has to be built on successful mediation. After all, to accept a general agreement that this is that, the audience has to be visually guided to that interpretation. Before mediation or agreement that this is that, the audience's attention has to be hooked and maintained. So, ephemeral semiotic qualities are employed to instantaneously hook the audience. I will caveat the terms I have defined are still in a process of evolution. Can you suggest more apt terms? See you all again next week for more Semiosis 101 to help illustrators and designers to enhance your visual communication skills.